Hi, a good friend of mine asked me to make this short video to help her start using this Godox AD200 Pro flash unit which she recently acquired with a Sony A7R III camera, and she also have a Godox 685 as flash, the speedlight, which is possibly to include in the setup itself and to control with the Godox X Pro S, this for Sony transmitter. Now I will not cover all details of flash photography, neither this will be the tutorial about any of these flashes. I will just try to make the brief instruction on how to set up everything so that it works as it should. I should also note that I am shooting in manual mode, so I will not cover the TTL settings in this, neither I will talk about the multi-flash strobe or the slow speed sync and rear curtain sync and things like that. That's way too complicated and the video will be enormously long. Here is our camera, Sony A7R III. Most of the settings that I will show you will refer also to other Sony A7 models and A9, but I will not go through the overall settings for the image and stuff like that. I'll just mention a couple of settings that are important for this type of setup for the flash photography that I am using. So let's switch on the camera. Hope you will see the screen. Now I have to say that I'm, as I already noted, I'm shooting in the manual mode so that I can be in control of every single aspect of the exposure, and this is because for me it is easier. It's not that I'm saying it's better than TTL mode or anything. It's just that for me it's easier because I learned to work like this, and I didn't have a reason to switch to the TTL since I'm not shooting anything that I need a really fast decision about the exposure. But most of the settings again that I will show you later here are similar to the TTL mode, and if you prefer that one you can do it, and you can shoot in the aperture priority mode or even in the shutter priority mode. It's up on you what you consider as the best workflow for your projects. Now, as you can see here, I have the M mode, so it's a manual, and sorry for that. And let's go to the settings straight on. So this is basically the few settings that I want to show you are hidden here. First one, which is important to know, is on the camera tab 2 on top of the menu. And there is the page number 4 of 9, which is related to the electronic curtain, electronic shutter. I used to switch off both of those options, like silent shooting with a fully electronical shutter and first curtain electronical shutter. I switched both of them off because in the silent shooting mode, if it's on, you probably won't be able to fire the external Godox flash at all, and with the E-front curtain you might experience some synchronization problem, especially at high speed sync. So be sure to switch, if you want to follow my advice, be sure to switch both of these functions off. The next thing that I'd like to mention is the live view display settings, which you can find again on the camera tab 2, and this is on the page number 7, and this is related to how your camera will actually treat the exposure in the viewfinder and on the LCD display in the back. Why I'm setting this off? Well, I will show you why. It's probably easier than to go through the full explanation. When I set it to on, my display will actually correlate to the exposure that I selected. So if I move the shutter speed above this settled, it will just darken out and I don't see anything. Now not in the electronic viewfinder, neither on the LCD screen. So in this situation I won't be able to check my focus or to check my composition. That's why actually I prefer to switch this exposure simulation to off, and if I do so now, when I move my shutter speed, I will still be able to see the image and to control my focus and composition. Of course, there is no free lunch. I mean, even in this settings, my viewfinder can become very grainy because the camera has to compensate for the low exposition by pushing up the ISO, and so sometimes it's hard to actually acquire the focus, but that's the way. I mean, it's much better because otherwise you don't see anything. So these are two settings that were important. Let's see the main flash settings, which you will find, just a moment, on the tab number 1, camera, and the page 11 of 14. So for what I'm recommending to try first, like is the flash mode fill flash, and then you can try the other flash synchronization modes, which you can find under this menu, like a slow carton, a rear carton. For now, let's stay in the fill flash mode. Now the flash compensation I keep at 0 because I will control all my lights separately, and that's the way that I can control actually the exposition from my flashlights. If I want to control, and I do actually, the ambient light exposure with my camera, I will keep then the exposure compensation set to ambient only. This is important when please switch the wireless flash off if you are using Godox in this configuration, and the red eye reduction switch to off as well. Well, you can switch it on if you like, but it might not work well. I mean, it will work, but you know, you don't have the flash in the direction to the eyes usually, so you don't have a need to keep it on. Okay, so basically these are the settings that I wanted to mention here. If you have any other questions, write a note below and I'll try to answer it. But that's the main settings that are related to the flash photography in the setup that I have here. Okay, let's take a look on how to set the AD200 Pro. So this is the AD200 Pro flash unit. As you know, it has a removable and interchangeable flash heads. The two heads are coming in the package, and this is now, it's the speedlight head, which you can see here. There is also the bare bulb head that I will show you later. Just briefly, to notice that when you want to replace the head, you have to pull this tab here, and then you have to take the head up to slide it up. Do not try to pull it here because it will not work and you might damage something. So just slide it up a little bit and then it will come off nicely. You can see there are the screws actually, or the tabs that are coming into these holes. To know exactly how to mount it, in which direction, this way or this way, you will always look to the contacts, which you can see here, and there are the contacts inside here, so you know that this is the only right direction to put the head on. When you bring it back, you just slide it down until it clicks. So let's see the bare bulb head. This is it. That's the other head that will come in your pouch when you buy the Godox AD200 Pro. And it basically, the system to mount it is the same. You have the contacts here, so just be aware that they should go on the contacts on the head. Put it on the position and slide it down until it clicks. Now you will need to mount the bare bulb actually, or the bulb itself, to the head. There is a red dot on this bulb, so this red dot should be aligned with the red dot inside your flash head, and you see that it's there now. The pins when you align it, well, the pins will go in the position. You just press it until it sits firmly inside. Be aware not to touch through this hole the bulb itself. It should never get in touch with fingers or hands. So that's how you mount the bare bulb head. When to use which head is up on you. You can read about the advantages and disadvantages of each head. I would try to simplify it, as I'm actually simplified it for me. I use the bare bulb head whenever I'm using any sort of modifier such as softbox, and I'm using the speedlight head when I want just the simple control of the light amount, and the quality of the light is not that important. So and actually it's faster and lighter a little bit to use it, less vulnerable, I would say, too. So that's up on you to decide when you want to use which head. Now the second thing I wanted to show you here is actually the battery compartment. The battery here is has the same actually release tab as the head, which we showed just before. So you need to pull this back, and then this will release the battery. Just be aware, especially when the unit is new, it might have a very strong, or it have very strong spring inside, so try not to let your battery drop on the floor or something like that. This is the way it will come out. You will see two contacts here. These two contacts should align with the contacts inside, so you know again this is the right way to put the battery back. When you want to do it, it's actually the only way you can put it back, so don't worry. But when you want to do it, just again press this tab down, opens a little bit. Now you can just slide the battery into the position, it will click well. Okay, let's see the main controls. First, switch the flash on by pulling this side tab up. When the flash is on, you will get your main display, and I'll try now to guide you through what is important and what you can see on the control panel. Now this is the very important symbol here. It says that the flash has active radio receiver, so you can control it with your radio unit. Otherwise, when you switch that off, which will come later, you will not be able to control it with the X Pro S or any other remote radio trigger from Godox. Now, just next to it is the channel and its number. There are 32 channels that you can choose, that you can select. And this is because you might find yourself in a group of photographers where the others will use the radio system on similar or same frequency, and that may cause interference and problems, and you can fire someone else's flashes. To prevent that, there are 32 channels, so everyone should choose the different channel in order to control only its own flashes. Now we'll come to where to change it in a while. The third thing that you can see here is the letter M. That says that the flash is now in the manual mode and we can control it fully manually. There is another little symbol, you see that flash with H, that says that the high-speed sync is active. The high-speed sync means that you can set your camera at any shutter speed that you like, and you will still get a proper exposure. It also means that you might get a lower power of the flash than when the high-speed sync is switched off. But in most cases, I mean, I had never a problem with the power that's for what I'm shooting, so just be aware that if there is not enough power, you might try to switch it off, but then you will be limited in shutter speed in your camera up to 1/160th of the second with my A7R III and this system. Now there is the battery charge indicator right next to the H, and below that we can see the letter here. Now we see the letter A. Letter A says that we are now, that this flash is assigned to the group A. There are altogether 5 groups, A, B, C, D and E, and you can assign as many flashes you like to any of these groups. So basically you can work with the 5 independent groups and adjust the values of flashes in each group separately. To simplify it, you have 3 flashes and you want to control each flash separately. Put the first flash or the main flash in the group A, the fill flash in the group B, and the background flash in the group C, and then you will be able to control each one separately. Now you have also the 2 little symbols on the display down when the unit is powered on. I have no idea why that's important, because otherwise you won't see anything, but nevertheless it's there. And there is a little sound box symbol which says that the audio signal is now switched on, so when you fire the flash it will beep when it's ready to fire again. Alright, you can fire it again. You can switch that off if you like, but that's in the menu. In the menu functions here, it's the menu actually function when you can switch it on or off, but I'm not really fond to go today into the menu and to discuss all the options there. Okay, let's go to the buttons, to the controllers that we have. The first one here, as you see on the top, is the mode button. The mode button, when you press it, will actually cycle you through the options that you have in these settings. And this is manual, as we discussed. This is a multi-strobo flash. I will say a word about it, but I don't want to spend much time with it. And there is a TTL mode. So because I said we are working in manual, I need to press that mode button until the M shows here. The multi flash means that your flash actually will fire several very fast strobes or fires within a single camera exposure, and that can be used for many creative things. But as I said, I don't want to cover that here now, so let's just stick with the 2 options, and that's TTL and M, and I'm using that manual mode, so I switched the mode to the M. Now the next button here in line has writing GR and CH. That means this button controls group and channel. And how it does it, when you just shortly press it, it will switch and cycle through the groups, which you can see here that this letter will now change from A to E and back to A. A, B, C, D, A and A. And if you hold that button a little bit longer pressed, then your channel will light up, and with the control wheel you can now change the channel to whichever you like, and by pressing set you will confirm that settings. If you hold both of those buttons for a while simultaneously, you will reset your flash to the factory settings, or to the settings that was done when it came from the factory. Now the third important button which I mentioned earlier is the little symbol, the radio symbol, the radio transmission symbol that's related to this one. If you press it, it will actually switch the flash radio receiver to off, and the flash now will be able to work only in optical slave mode. The Godox AD200 Pro cannot be set as the master flash, it can be only set as the slave flash, and there are only 2 modes to do so. One is the radio transmission, the other one is the optical slave. So now the flash is in optical slave. You might never need it, but just to know that it's there. Switch it to the radio. Back, be sure that this little symbol on top is where it should be. Okay, that's important. Now there is another button below. This is this flash button. That's a test button that will fire your flash, and you can use it to check if everything is as it should be. Then you have this little button with the bulb symbol on it. It's here. So this switch on and off, so-called modeling light, which is basically the LED light built into your speed head. It will light up the LED, actually the LED lamp inside of the flash. It didn't, it was probably lit up already. So now you can see there is the light inside the flash. and you can also switch it on. This is I mean, it's called the modeling light, but basically it can help you to acquire the better focus. I don't think you will use it as the real modeling light because it's way too weak for that. You will need to have the flashes very close to your subject in order to get some results and be able to read the ratios and stuff like that. So this is more like the ad for focusing and composing to add some light when it's needed. And the little symbol here appears showing that you have it off or on. Now there is the button menu, which I mentioned earlier, and as I said, I don't want to spend much time here. You can use the instruction manual to go through. There is a couple of settings that you might find useful for now. It's like switching the sound off and on. If somewhere where you're shooting the silence is required, so you might want to switch that off. Then there are sorry. Okay, now there are other functions that I really don't want to go deeply through, like how long the flash will stay active before it goes to standby mode. Some delay things. There is the display of burning time curve and some other things. This is the color consistency mode and stuff like that. I don't think that this is important for you to start to use the flash, and later on you can just read a little bit about what some of these functions does and is it useful for your photography. And finally, of course, we have the main dial, the control wheel here with a set confirmation button inside. This is basically all controls that are important to know for your Godox AD200 Pro.